Generosity and compassion are powerful forces in the world. Yet when extended without boundaries, they can unknowingly lead to imbalance and emotional depletion. Stop being too kind reminds us that true kindness isn't about endless giving, but about protecting one's own energy and well-being. Without discernment, relationships can easily become one-sided, leaving the giver drained and undervalued. By setting clear limits, we not only preserve our own peace, but cultivate healthier, more reciprocal connections. When kindness is extended without discernment, it risks creating imbalanced relationships where one party gives endlessly while the other takes without reciprocation. Over time, this can leave the giver feeling undervalued, drained, and overlooked. The absence of limits not only diminishes personal well-being, but also fosters resentment and emotional fatigue. The key to sustaining kindness lies in balance, setting boundaries that protect one's time, energy, and emotional health. By recognizing that kindness does not equate to limitless giving, individuals can foster healthier, more reciprocal relationships. This exploration highlights the necessity of drawing these lines, ensuring that acts of kindness empower rather than deplete. Kindness is often hailed as one of the most admirable traits a person can possess. It fosters connection, strengthens relationships, and contributes to a more harmonious society. It is universally acknowledged as a virtue, and those who practice it frequently are seen as compassionate, empathetic, and trustworthy. However, there exists an overlooked yet critical dimension to kindness: the necessity of establishing boundaries. Without limits, even the noblest intentions can pave the way for unintended consequences, leading to burnout, resentment, and even exploitation. The idea that too much kindness can be detrimental might seem counterintuitive at first. After all, isn't kindness about giving unconditionally and putting others' needs ahead of your own? While this sentiment holds merit, it becomes problematic when individuals extend themselves excessively without considering their personal limits. To stop being overly kind does not equate to becoming cold or indifferent. Rather, it involves exercising discernment and adopting a strategic approach to generosity. This shift allows individuals to wield kindness with strength and intentionality, preventing the erosion of their well-being. Kindness without boundaries, a path to exploitation. Kindness without boundaries often creates a dangerous dynamic, especially in interpersonal relationships. When you continually prioritize the needs and desires of others while neglecting your own, you inadvertently signal that your boundaries are either flexible or non-existent. This perceived lack of assertiveness can attract individuals who view kindness not as a virtue, but as a vulnerability to exploit. Over time, this dynamic can lead to significant emotional and mental fatigue. Imagine a workplace scenario where an employee consistently volunteers to take on extra tasks, cover for colleagues, or work overtime without hesitation. While this behavior may initially garner praise, it can quickly establish unrealistic expectations. Colleagues and supervisors might begin to rely on that individual excessively, leaving them burdened with responsibilities beyond their capacity. The employee, driven by a desire to help, may feel obligated to continue this pattern, ultimately leading to burnout. In personal relationships, a similar pattern emerges. Friends or family members may habitually seek assistance, emotional support, or financial aid from those who rarely say no. This dynamic fosters an unhealthy imbalance, with one party continuously giving and the other receiving without reciprocation. The result: the kind individual feels drained, unappreciated, and overlooked. The psychological roots of overkindness. The tendency to overextend oneself often stems from a deep-seated desire to be liked, validated, or needed. Many people equate saying no with rejection or conflict, fearing that setting boundaries will strain their relationships. This mindset can be traced back to early life experiences societal conditioning, or cultural influences that glorify self-sacrifice. However, the absence of boundaries does not lead to deeper, more meaningful connections. Instead, it cultivates relationships built on dependency and imbalance. By continually suppressing their own needs, individuals risk losing their sense of self, becoming defined solely by their capacity to serve others. Establishing boundaries is not an act of selfishness, but a profound expression of self-respect. It signifies an acknowledgement of one's worth and the recognition that their well-being is just as important as that of others. When individuals assert their limits, they communicate that their time, energy, and resources hold value, thereby inspiring respect from those around them. The dual benefit of boundaries. Boundaries are not only essential for personal well-being, but also beneficial for fostering healthier relationships. When both parties understand and respect each other's limits, relationships become more balanced and fulfilling. This mutual respect eliminates the potential for exploitation, ensuring that acts of kindness are genuine rather than driven by guilt or obligation. Moreover, boundaries promote growth and self-sufficiency in others. For example, consistently bailing out a friend from financial difficulties may provide temporary relief, but ultimately inhibits their ability to develop better money management skills. By stepping back, you empower others to take responsibility for their actions, fostering resilience and independence. Identifying areas where boundaries are needed. The process of establishing boundaries begins with self-awareness. It requires reflecting on areas of life where you feel depleted, resentful, or undervalued. Pay attention to moments when you agree to things out of guilt or fear of disappointing others. These emotional cues serve as indicators that your boundaries may be too porous or undefined. Start small by setting limits in low-stakes situations. For instance, if a colleague asks for help with a project at the last minute, politely decline if it interferes with your existing commitments. While this may feel uncomfortable initially, it gradually reinforces the importance of protecting your time and energy. Over time, as you become more comfortable asserting yourself, extend these boundaries to more significant areas of your life. Communicate openly and honestly with those around you, explaining that while you value the relationship, you also need to prioritize your well-being. Most people, when approached with transparency and sincerity, will respect and appreciate this honesty. The role of communication in boundary setting. Effective boundary setting hinges on clear and assertive communication. It is crucial to articulate your needs without ambiguity, ensuring that others understand your limits. Use I statements to express your feelings and avoid placing blame. For example, instead of saying, "You always take advantage of me," reframe the statement as, "I feel overwhelmed when I take on too many responsibilities, so I need to limit how much I can help moving forward." Overcoming the guilt of saying no. One of the most significant barriers to establishing boundaries is the guilt associated with saying no. Many individuals worry that declining a request will damage the relationship or lead others to perceive them as selfish. It is essential to reframe this mindset by recognizing that saying no is an act of self-care. Consider this. By consistently prioritizing others at the expense of your well-being, you risk depleting your emotional and physical resources. In this state, your capacity to help others diminishes, ultimately rendering you less effective. Setting boundaries ensures that your acts of kindness remain sustainable, allowing you to continue showing up for others without compromising your health. In conclusion, establishing boundaries is a transformative practice that enhances both personal well-being and interpersonal relationships. It allows kindness to flow from a place of abundance rather than depletion, fostering deeper connections rooted in mutual respect. By embracing the power of boundaries, you reclaim control over your life, reinforcing the understanding that true kindness begins with honoring your own needs. Kindness, often celebrated as the cornerstone of human decency and social cohesion, plays an essential role in nurturing relationships, fostering empathy, and promoting a sense of community. People who exhibit kindness are frequently admired and valued for their compassion and willingness to help others. However, as with many virtues, the unregulated application of kindness can yield unintended consequences. When kindness is extended without limits or boundaries, it not only undermines personal well-being, but also distorts the dynamics of relationships, potentially diminishing the respect and appreciation one receives from others. Excessive kindness, paradoxically, can inhibit others from developing genuine respect for you. People tend to respect those who respect themselves. This respect is cultivated by an individual's ability to assert their boundaries and prioritize their own needs alongside those of others. If you consistently set your needs aside to accommodate and please others, you risk projecting an image of insecurity or low self-worth. Over time, this can cause others to perceive you as less confident, leading them to view you as convenient rather than indispensable. The psychological mechanism behind diminished respect. At the heart of this dynamic lies a fundamental aspect of human psychology: reciprocity. In balanced relationships, there is a natural exchange of support, care, and attention. However, when one party consistently gives while the other primarily receives, the balance is disrupted. The recipient may begin to take the giver's kindness for granted, leading to diminishing returns in terms of appreciation and recognition. Consider a professional environment where one employee habitually volunteers to assist colleagues, stay late, or take on additional responsibilities without voicing any concerns. Initially, this dedication may be met with gratitude, but over time, the lack of self-advocacy might lead coworkers and supervisors to undervalue the employee's time and contributions. This scenario illustrates how the absence of boundaries can erode professional standing and result in missed opportunities for advancement or recognition. Kindness as a liability. In extreme cases, boundless kindness can become a liability. Not just a personal disadvantage, but a factor that actively detracts from one's influence and presence. When people perceive that you will consistently acquiesce, they may begin to disregard your opinions, contributions, and even your presence altogether. This is particularly evident in decision-making scenarios. If you frequently defer to others without asserting your perspective, your voice may gradually fade into the background, diminishing your impact and reinforcing a narrative that your input is non-essential. This phenomenon is not limited to professional contexts. In personal relationships, constant acquiescence can lead to similar outcomes. Friends, family members, or partners may unintentionally overlook your needs, assuming that your willingness to accommodate signifies a lack of personal preferences or priorities. The result is a subtle but pervasive erosion of your identity within the relationship, leaving you feeling invisible or undervalued. The creation of unhealthy dependency. Another significant consequence of excessive kindness is the inadvertent cultivation of dependency. When you habitually solve problems for others or go out of your way to ease their burdens, you deprive them of opportunities for growth and resilience. By consistently stepping in, you may prevent others from developing the necessary skills to navigate challenges independently. For instance, a parent who continually resolves their child's conflicts at school or shields them from every disappointment may unintentionally hinder the child's emotional development. Similarly, in friendships or romantic relationships, always rescuing others can foster an unhealthy reliance, where the recipient of kindness becomes dependent on the giver for emotional stability, decision-making, or even basic problem-solving. While the intention behind such actions is undoubtedly positive, the long-term effects can be detrimental for both parties. The giver may feel increasingly burdened and fatigued, while the recipient's ability to cope with adversity diminishes. True kindness involves empowering others rather than fostering reliance. This often means stepping back, allowing others to face difficulties, and offering support in a way that encourages autonomy rather than dependence. The cycle of resentment and emotional drain. One of the most insidious aspects of unchecked kindness is the gradual buildup of resentment. Although the giver may initially feel fulfilled by their acts of generosity, the lack of reciprocation or acknowledgement can breed feelings of frustration and disillusionment. Over time, this can manifest as bitterness, potentially straining or even severing relationships. This cycle is particularly common in relationships characterized by unequal emotional labor. When one individual consistently assumes responsibility for maintaining harmony, resolving conflicts, or providing emotional support, the imbalance can lead to burnout. The resulting resentment may be directed not only at the recipient, but also inward, manifesting as guilt or self-blame for allowing the dynamic to persist. Breaking the cycle. Establishing healthy boundaries. To mitigate the negative impact of excessive kindness, it is crucial to establish and maintain healthy boundaries. This begins with self-awareness, recognizing patterns of behavior that contribute to imbalance and acknowledging the emotional toll they exact. Setting boundaries does not diminish kindness. Rather, it enhances its sustainability by ensuring that acts of generosity stem from a place of strength rather than obligation. Communicating boundaries effectively is equally important. This involves articulating your needs clearly and assertively, without guilt or fear of disappointing others. For example, if a friend frequently relies on you for support, expressing your limitations candidly can foster a more balanced and respectful relationship. Phrases such as, "I care about you, but I need to focus on my own well-being right now," convey empathy while reinforcing personal boundaries. Embracing assertiveness as a complement to kindness. Assertiveness and kindness are not mutually exclusive. In fact, they are complementary. Assertiveness allows you to express your needs and protect your boundaries, while kindness ensures that these expressions are delivered with empathy and consideration. This balance fosters healthier, more reciprocal relationships, characterized by mutual respect and genuine care. In conclusion, while kindness remains a vital and cherished virtue, its unregulated application can lead to unintended negative consequences. By establishing boundaries, fostering self-awareness, and embracing assertiveness, individuals can ensure that their kindness enhances rather than diminishes their relationships and personal well-being. Ultimately, the most enduring acts of kindness are those rooted in respect for oneself and for others. True kindness transcends the simple act of giving. While society often equates kindness with self-sacrifice and unwavering generosity, authentic kindness involves fostering independence and resilience in others. By encouraging those around us to develop their own strengths, we help them grow rather than foster reliance on our continuous support. In this sense, one of the most vital yet frequently misunderstood aspects of kindness is the ability to say no. Saying no is not an act of cruelty or rejection. On the contrary, it is an essential practice of self-preservation and an assertion of personal boundaries. Overextending yourself, whether in personal relationships, at work, or within your family, often leads to emotional depletion and resentment, which can ultimately erode the very foundation of your generosity. When kindness is expressed without limits, it may inadvertently do more harm than good, both for you and for those you seek to help. This emotional pattern is deeply rooted in social conditioning and cultural expectations that frame kindness as synonymous with endless availability. From an early age, many people are taught that selflessness is a virtue and that prioritizing one's needs over the desires of others is indicative of selfishness. However, this oversimplified notion neglects the long-term consequences of boundaryless kindness. In truth, placing your well-being first is not an act of selfishness. It is an act of necessity. By prioritizing your mental, emotional, and physical health, you ensure that the kindness you extend to others comes from a place of strength and stability. Without these boundaries, acts of kindness can become burdens, leading to frustration, exhaustion, and ultimately resentment toward those you originally intended to help. The ripple effect of boundaries on relationships. Establishing the ability to say no strengthens the health of your relationships by fostering balance and mutual respect. When you set limits, you communicate to others that your time and energy are valuable, and this acknowledgement often inspires reciprocation. Relationships grounded in such understanding tend to be more sustainable, as both parties recognize the importance of respecting each other's boundaries. Moreover, saying no cultivates authenticity. When individuals continuously say yes out of obligation rather than genuine willingness, interactions become tainted by hidden resentment and dissatisfaction. Conversely, the ability to say no without guilt enables more honest, meaningful relationships where generosity is offered freely, not out of compulsion. Consider a scenario involving a friend who frequently asks for favors. If you continually agree, even when it inconveniences you, your relationship may start to feel one-sided. However, by respectfully declining when necessary, you redefine the dynamic, establishing a healthier pattern of reciprocity. Over time, this reinforces trust and strengthens the relationship, as both parties learn to respect each other's needs and limitations. The intersection of self-respect and assertiveness. Saying no is an exercise in self-respect and a critical component of assertiveness. Assertiveness allows you to express your thoughts, needs, and limits openly and confidently, without fear of conflict or rejection. This skill is fundamental in all areas of life, whether in the workplace, with family, or in social settings. In professional environments, employees who consistently accept additional responsibilities without setting boundaries often find themselves overburdened and underappreciated. While this may initially appear to demonstrate dedication, it can lead to diminished productivity and burnout. By asserting limits, such as refusing extra tasks when your workload is already substantial, you preserve your efficiency and reinforce your value within the organization. Similarly, in personal relationships, assertiveness creates a framework for healthier communication. It allows individuals to advocate for their needs without diminishing the needs of others, fostering an environment of equality and mutual respect. The empowerment of others through boundaries. Interestingly, saying no not only protects your well-being, but also empowers others. By refusing to constantly intervene or solve problems on behalf of others, you provide them with the opportunity to develop resilience, critical thinking, and problem-solving skills. For instance, consistently bailing out a friend or family member from difficult situations may initially seem helpful, but over time, it can create dependency. Allowing them to navigate challenges independently promotes personal growth and self-sufficiency. True kindness, therefore, lies in supporting others while encouraging their development, rather than perpetuating reliance. Practical strategies for saying no with grace. Saying no does not require harshness or abruptness. In fact, there are numerous ways to decline requests while maintaining empathy and preserving relationships. One effective method is to use I statements, which allow you to express your feelings and limits without placing blame. For example, you can say, "I would love to help, but I need to focus on my own commitments right now." Or, "I appreciate you asking, but I am unable to take this on at the moment." These responses emphasize your personal capacity rather than rejecting the other person's needs outright. When possible, offering alternatives can soften the impact of your refusal. Suggesting another solution, such as recommending someone else who might be able to help, keeps the interaction positive and constructive. Additionally, being direct but kind is often the simplest and most effective approach. A polite refusal like, "Thank you for thinking of me, but I will have to pass this time," avoids unnecessary explanations or excuses, reinforcing your boundaries with clarity and respect. To build confidence in asserting boundaries, it can be helpful to practice saying no in front of a mirror or with a trusted friend. The more you rehearse, the easier it becomes to communicate your limits naturally in real-life situations. By adopting these strategies, you can navigate requests with grace, ensuring that your kindness remains grounded in self-respect and authenticity. Reframing no as an act of kindness. Saying no can ultimately be one of the kindest things you do for both yourself and others. By preserving your energy, you ensure that the help you do offer is genuine and impactful. Additionally, by encouraging independence in others, you contribute to their growth and self-reliance. In conclusion, the ability to say no is a critical aspect of kindness that safeguards your well-being and enhances the quality of your relationships. It allows you to engage with others authentically, fostering deeper connections rooted in mutual respect. By mastering this essential skill, you create a foundation of balance and empowerment, ensuring that your acts of generosity remain sustainable and enriching for all involved. Kindness is universally regarded as a virtue that strengthens bonds and enhances the human experience. It nurtures relationships, fosters trust, and creates communities grounded in empathy and compassion. However, while extending kindness to others enriches our social connections, it can also present unforeseen obstacles to personal growth when not balanced with self-awareness and boundaries. The hidden irony of kindness is that when excessive and unchecked, it can divert attention away from personal ambitions, stifling individual progress and limiting the fulfillment of one's potential. Excessive kindness can subtly undermine focus, leading individuals to prioritize others' needs over their own aspirations. This dynamic often begins innocuously, rooted in a genuine desire to help and uplift those around us. Yet when consistently placing others ahead of oneself becomes habitual, it gradually detracts from the pursuit of personal goals. In such cases, kindness transforms from a strength into a distraction, preventing individuals from dedicating the necessary time and energy to their own development. The long-term impact of prioritizing others. When personal growth takes a backseat to the continuous accommodation of others, ambitions may stall or remain unrealized. The cost of perpetual giving is often subtle but cumulative, manifesting as missed opportunities, delayed achievements, and diminished self-confidence. Over time, the individual may experience a growing sense of frustration, wondering why their personal and professional milestones remain elusive. For example, an employee who consistently covers for colleagues or takes on additional responsibilities out of kindness may find themselves overlooked for promotions or professional recognition. By diverting attention away from their own advancement, they inadvertently signal to superiors that they are better suited for supportive roles rather than leadership positions. Similarly, in personal relationships, constantly prioritizing the happiness and well-being of others may lead to the neglect of personal aspirations, hobbies, and self-improvement endeavors. The emotional toll of self-sacrifice. Sacrificing personal growth for the benefit of others may initially appear noble and selfless. However, this pattern often results in emotional exhaustion and ultimately resentment. The individual may begin to feel unappreciated as the consistent sacrifices they make go unnoticed or are taken for granted. This unacknowledged effort can lead to feelings of invisibility, further diminishing self-worth and reinforcing a cycle where personal needs are perpetually sidelined. Furthermore, excessive kindness creates unrealistic expectations in relationships, fostering a dynamic where others come to rely heavily on the giver's support. This dependency not only limits the recipient's growth, but also places an undue burden on the giver, who may feel obligated to maintain the role of caretaker at the expense of their own well-being. Redefining kindness, a path to balance. True kindness does not necessitate constant self-sacrifice. Instead, it flourishes when grounded in balance, a recognition that nurturing others and nurturing oneself are not mutually exclusive. Establishing boundaries around when and how we offer our kindness allows for sustained generosity without compromising personal growth. By learning to say no or limiting the scope of assistance, individuals can reclaim time and resources to invest in their own development. This does not diminish the value of their kindness, but rather enhances it, ensuring that acts of generosity are intentional and meaningful, rather than obligatory or draining. Empowering growth through self-advocacy. One of the most powerful ways to align kindness with personal growth is through self-advocacy. Advocating for one's own needs, ambitions, and boundaries reinforces self-respect and encourages others to respect these limits as well. This can be achieved by clearly communicating personal goals and prioritizing tasks that align with long-term aspirations. For instance, an entrepreneur may set firm boundaries regarding their availability, recognizing that overextending themselves for clients could hinder the expansion of their business. Similarly, a student may prioritize study time over social engagements, understanding that academic success is crucial for their future. These acts of self-advocacy are not selfish, but reflective of an individual's commitment to growth and fulfillment. The importance of setting priorities. Balancing kindness with personal growth requires deliberate prioritization. It involves distinguishing between obligations that genuinely align with one's values and those that detract from progress. To achieve this balance, individuals must regularly assess their commitments and evaluate whether their efforts are contributing to long-term goals or serving as distractions. Creating a structured schedule that allocates time for personal development alongside acts of kindness can foster a more sustainable approach. This might include setting aside dedicated hours for self-care, education, career advancement, or creative pursuits. By honoring these commitments, individuals reinforce the importance of their growth, sending a clear message to others about the value of their time and energy. Building reciprocal relationships. Healthy relationships are characterized by reciprocity, a mutual exchange of support and understanding. When kindness is extended without expectation of return, it risks fostering imbalance, leaving one party depleted while the other continues to receive. Establishing relationships built on mutual respect and shared responsibility ensures that kindness is not one-sided. Engaging in open dialogue about boundaries and personal growth goals can help cultivate reciprocal relationships. By expressing the need for balance, individuals encourage others to offer support in return, fostering a more equitable and enriching dynamic. This reciprocity strengthens connections while preserving the autonomy and ambitions of all parties involved. Kindness as a catalyst for personal fulfillment. When exercised with intention and awareness, kindness becomes a powerful catalyst for personal fulfillment rather than a barrier to growth. Acts of generosity that stem from a place of balance enrich both the giver and the recipient, contributing to a sense of purpose and interconnectedness. By prioritizing personal aspirations alongside the well-being of others, individuals create a harmonious cycle where growth and kindness coexist. Ultimately, the most enduring and impactful form of kindness is one that empowers both the giver and the receiver. By fostering self-awareness, advocating for personal needs, and establishing boundaries, individuals can cultivate a life of generosity that supports their own evolution and inspires those around them. In doing so, kindness becomes not a hindrance, but a driving force for personal and collective growth. Kindness holds the power to transform lives, strengthen relationships, and create lasting connections, but its true value emerges when balanced with self-respect and boundaries. Genuine kindness does not require endless sacrifice. Rather, it flourishes when guided by wisdom and the recognition of personal limits. By understanding that protecting your own well-being is essential, you allow your generosity to remain sincere, resilient, and sustainable. When kindness is coupled with assertiveness, it fosters relationships built on mutual respect and understanding. This balance empowers you to give without resentment, knowing that your needs are equally important. In turn, those around you learn to appreciate and honor your boundaries, creating stronger, healthier connections. Ultimately, kindness becomes most powerful when it reflects not just compassion for others, but also care and respect for yourself. By valuing your time, energy, and emotional well-being, you cultivate a form of kindness that enriches both your life and the lives of those you touch. In this way, kindness becomes a source of strength, a force that uplifts everyone involved while preserving the heart of the giver.